The 2026 World Cross Country Championships are set to take place on January the 10th and are returning to US soil for the first time since 1992. They are often billed as the hardest races to win in distance running, due to the fact that distance powerhouses Kenya and Ethiopia can field 7 athletes, compared to just 3 in the Olympics. But for the first time in more than 40 years, the US men might just have a team strong enough to challenge for the team title. In this video, we are going to assess the strengths of the potential US runners and compare them to the team from Kenya, the most dominant force in all of cross country, as well as the other contenders, to determine whether the likes of Mantz, Nico Young and Graham Blanks can do the unthinkable and triumph over the might of East Africa. Now, it is important to start by acknowledging that the US has never won the team title in 45 editions of the race, and hasn't even had an individual medalist since 1982, when Alberto Salazar won silver. Since the East Africans began competing in 1981, there have been 37 editions of the race, with Kenya winning 26, Ethiopia 10, and Uganda 1. The chances of an American or European team winning have never even been a conversation, until now. And that is because the world of distance running is changing. Europeans and Americans are competitive on the track once more, and are even outperforming their East African rivals in championship races. Jakob Ingebrigtsen and Cole Hocker have won the last 4 5,000 metres global outdoor finals between them, with this year's Tokyo World Championships even marking the first time since 1983 that an African had not even finished on the podium. This power shift has even extended to the 10,000 metres, where Jimmy Grecia's gold and Andreas Almgren's bronze in Tokyo were achieved not just by beating East African favourites, but a strong contingent of Americans as well. Going into that Tokyo World Championships, the US actually had some of the biggest favourites for gold in both events, in Grant Fisher and Nico Young. That neither were able to medal, leaving 1500 metres man Cole Hocker to win the USA's only distance gold in his secondary event, the 5000, should mean that the American stars will be desperate to show their true level on home soil in January. And so far, the noises coming out of the US camp ahead of their trials on December the 6th appear positive. 3 of their top 4 runners have already declared their intent to race, with Young, Blanks and Mantz determined to represent their country on the cross. While Fisher's coach Mike Scannell has stated his athlete won't run, the team the US could put together will still be formidable. If we rank the top 10 US men by 10k times set within the last 3 years, that strength is obvious. 4 of those men have run in the 26-minute range, with 7 men sub 27:10 and all 10 men sub 27:20. 5 of those men have also run sub 13 minutes for 5k, and a man who doesn't even make the list, Conor Mantz, only has a 27:25 10k PB, but is clearly going to be world-class over cross-country, given his 59-minute half marathon, 2:04 marathon, and multiple NCAA cross-country titles. Admittedly, it isn't an exact science converting 10k times to cross-country performance, but the nature of this Tallahassee course in Florida, which will host the World Championships in January, should make things easier for the track runners. Warm temperatures and firmer footing in the Sunshine State should make things a lot more predictable. And the American runners' times compare very favourably to the Kenyan team set to compete in Florida. The Kenyan Cross Country Championships on October the 25th doubled as their trials for the World Champs, with initial reports suggesting that the top 7 men would be taken. Now, I consider myself a pretty big running nerd, yet even I had only heard of one of these guys, race winner Daniel Ebenyo. Ebenyo is the only man on the list with a 10,000 metre PB faster than 27 minutes, and second place runner Kevin Chesang doesn't even have a World Athletics profile. According to Facebook, he is still a high school student. None of the 4 men who scored for Kenya last time out in 2024 are listed in the team, with Benson Kiplangat, Nicholas Kipkorea, Samuel Masai and Sebastian Sawe not competing in the trials and not being awarded wildcard picks as their female compatriots Beatrice Chebet and Angus Ngetich were. Even if 1 or 2 of these men were added to the team at late notice, there should still not be too much for the Americans to fear. Young, Blanks and Mantz should all be capable of a top 10, with whoever places as fourth American within the top 15. Under World Athletics rules, only the top 4 runners from each team count for the scoring, and that kind of finish and a total score of under 35 might just be enough to get the victory. While scores around the 20 mark with all 4 runners well within the top 10 have been required in recent years, that is because it is usually Kenya versus Ethiopia at the front end of the race, with the odd Ugandan thrown in. The last time the US was a factor in the race, in 2013, when Ben True and Chris Derrick both cracked the top 10, the winning score was 38. And while the other countries' teams have not yet been announced, it looks unlikely that either Ethiopia or Uganda will be definitively too strong for the US either. Ethiopia's top 4 scorers at the last edition were Berehu Aragawi, Tedesi Waku, Boki Diriba, and Chimdesa Debele. Aragawi and Waku are world class, boasting 10k PBs of 26.31 and 26.45 respectively, but the other two are barely fast enough to be ranked in the top 10 Americans on paper. Of course, if Solomon Barega, Yomif Kejelcha, and Biniam Mahare were to compete, it changes things, but their ambitions appear to lie elsewhere. Uganda will benefit from reigning champion Jacob Kiplimo returning to defend his crown, and I would see him as the big favourite to win his 3rd title. Despite moving to the roads this year, he looks better than ever, running a breathtaking 56.42 half marathon world record and winning his first marathon major in Chicago. Having increased his weekly mileage to over 200 kilometres a week as a result of the change, he will surely have the strength to see off all his rivals once again. But other than Kiplimo, Uganda are thin on the ground. They lack the depth of Ethiopia and Kenya, and would really need Joshua Cheptegei to also make the podium to have a chance at the team title, and it looks unlikely that he will even compete. So overall, this might be the first year since the early 1980s where a non-African country can realistically claim to have the strongest team for the World Cross Country Championships. Of course, cross country is not track, and PBs don't necessarily translate to top performances, with the East African preference for training on dirt roads and even off-road a distinct advantage. But with a favourable course for the US stars in Tallahassee, and the motivation of competing in front of a home crowd and to bounce back from a disappointing World Championships in Tokyo, we might just see the likes of Nico Young, Graham Blanks and Conor Mantz fire the USA to one of the greatest victories in distance running history. And now I'd like to pass the question over to you. How do you think the Americans will fare in Florida? Who will make the team? And can they do the unthinkable and topple the East African powerhouses? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe to keep up to date with all things distance running into 2026 and beyond. Thanks for watching everyone, and see you in the next one.